So StreamYard totally just changes audio input on me. So now we're live. So welcome. Episode 338. If you're joining live, you can comment and I can display your comment or talk about you. There's Olivia. He said Illuminati. No Matt, so we can party. That's right. Matt LaMarche is not here yet. He's not here, but he is here in spirit, obviously. All right. We're broadcasting on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, and we're on Clubhouse. And if you're on any of those platforms, you can add your voice to the podcast just by commenting. I can display your comment and talk about your comment. Or if you're on Clubhouse, you can raise your hand and add your voice to the pod. Because today we are going to be talking about, you guessed it, Zillow. Zillow has had some issues lately. And they seem to be all brought on by themselves. Because everything we're talking about today is something that they are either implementing or have implemented or are suing or have been sued for. I mean, that's a lot. You got a lot on your plate. So their legal team, if you want a good, secure job, Zillow legal team, that's a great, secure job. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I think what I did last week, there was a guy I should just bring up. I'm just going to bring it up. Last week we had a comment. I want to display the comment and talk about the comment because this was the replay crew. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due for this guy because I think it was funny. It was on the Zillow and AI are taking over. That was the name of the pod last week. And there was a guy that said, quote, on the comment, "Your audio is terrible. Get it together." So thank you. Daryl Barry Garcia is his name and has a hilarious profile. There's this profile right now.
Always nice when somebody tells you to get your shit together, right?
Get it together.
Thank you very much.
I mean, he's not lying. He did only listen to the first minute of the show, apparently, because that's where the audio was bad. Until StreamYard can do something about like why the audio input magically changes whenever it goes live. What was that? And today, not only did it change, but it also muted. So I have concerns with that. All right, let's go back to the main reason that we're here. And that's to talk about some news. We have a ton of news today. You know how the last, 4 or 5 weeks, there was only like one industry T story. Today there's like 9. So we're gonna have to go quick. All right, so here we are. Zillow. Broke Agent Media says the truth about Zillow's access to your follow-up boss data. So if you missed it, there are some changes to the terms of service that Follow Up Boss, which is now a subsidiary of Zillow, announced last week that goes into practice November 15th, 2025, which is just around the corner. To bring you up to speed and add a little more context to it, Zillow bought Follow Up Boss, but continued to allow Follow Up Boss to operate as Follow Up Boss, kind of as a separate entity, which they've done with some other businesses as well. Well, now Zillow says, hey, you know how we said all of your data would be totally separate and we would never get access to your data? We're going to change those terms of service to where now we can have access to your data. And there are 2 groups of people. One group of people is saying, this is outrageous. Why would Zillow get access to my data? I can't believe they have access to all my clients and leads and they're in the system. Actually, there's 3 groups of people. That's one group. People group 2 is you signed up for a service that then was bought by Zillow and you're surprised they have access to your data. And then group 3 is Zillow already had this data. So for them to get access to it is meaningless and you should spend more time focusing on something else. I think I think those are the 3 main characters or parts in this ordeal. So let's see where Broke Agent Media lies. Agents are losing their minds, they say. That's how Tom Toole opened last Friday's Knowledge Brokers podcast, setting the tone for a conversation that called out misinformation, misplaced outreach, and widespread misunderstanding of what's actually happening with Follow Up Boss. Christianos, Josh Rubin, Byron Lazine, Tom Toole, Lisa Cianati, for a spirited discussion about this Follow Up Boss and Zillow thing. Just last week, Zillow announced Zillow Pro Tools, a suite of products, including Follow Up Boss, curated to upgrade the way agents capture leads and meet the needs of consumers. The Follow Up Boss topic particularly sparked viral headlines and social media backlash from agents convinced that Zillow was suddenly gaining access to their entire database. Tom wasted no time calling them out. And by the way, I love all these people. Tom, Byron, Lisa, Josh. I don't know Chris, but he seems to be a really good guy too. So it's not like I'm disparaging them. I just don't agree with their take. I also don't agree with the take of the people that are like, what? Zillow has access to my data? Yeah. So the only clarification Tom pointed out was that Zillow can use the information of mutual customers. That's clients who already have a Zillow account. If someone is in your Follow Up Boss CRM and has a Zillow account, Zillow can use that overlapping data. And then Tom, and I don't know, I think maybe Chris said this, instead of worrying about Zillow, call the people in your CRM. Okay. I mean, you can do both. I think it's so disingenuous for someone to say, why are you worried about Zillow? You shouldn't be worried about Zillow. Yes, they may have access to your data, but they already have this data. That's bull. Then why would they need access to it? Or to say like, oh, you shouldn't really be worrying about Zillow's access to your data. They're already sending your clients listings anyway. I can want to have a completely independent data set and also vigorously market to my clients and take care of them, and also not appreciate that Zillow has access to my data. I can have all of those things all at the same time. It doesn't take any extra work for me to say, no, I should have a completely different CRM that Zillow doesn't have access to. Number one, for the privacy of my clients, because they haven't given me approval to input their data into Zillow. And some of them may be so private, they don't want their data in Zillow. Number two, it doesn't make sense for me to build up the mountain that I'm going to have to climb. Why would I continue to put obstacles in my way? That doesn't make any sense at all. So why would I make it easier for someone like Zillow to market to my clients and send them to a flex partner? There's no way. If you're with Follow Up Boss right now and you're not a flex partner, why would you continue to be with Follow Up Boss? Because they say they're only going to market to mutual clients. Well, who are they going to market to mutual clients for? It's not you. It's the flex partner. It's the person they're going to make 35% off of without telling the client they're going to take 35% of that agent's commission. So you can have the feeling, I don't want Zillow to have my data, and also vigorously market to your clients and make sure they're taken care of at the same time. For whatever reason, the Zillow apologists make it sound like, oh, you're putting all this effort focusing on Zillow. You should put it towards something else. You could do both. What effort? It's a thought process and maybe moving your database to somewhere. All right, let's go back.
Ray, you don't have Follow Up Boss, right?
I do not. No.
And if you did, what camp would you be in?
I would move. Actually, I'll get to this in just a second. I put the agreements into ChatGPT because I was curious. Everyone loves AI. Now Zillow is intertangled with ChatGPT. So I was curious if I put these agreements into ChatGPT and asked it questions about smart business practice, how would ChatGPT respond? And ironically, I'm sounding more and more like AI every day because it responded just like I would have responded. And I'll get to that in just a second. What's up, Justin? Another Canadian in the house. All right, let's go back to this article real quick, and then I'll get into the research that I did through that. Chris Gianos, also a former employee of Zillow, says that Zillow is the easy scapegoat. He's now with Humanize.io. which is a cool company, by the way. Like I said, Chris is a cool guy. I just disagree with his take. He said, this change isn't a data grab. It's codifying how data has already been handled. He said, the big change everyone is talking about comes down to what they call mutual customers. Those are people who also have a Zillow, Trulia, or StreetEasy account. Zillow can use that data for marketing, for improving for improving user experience and training AI models. Then there are what they call agent-only contacts. These are people who exist only in your CRM. Zillow cannot use that data for any reason, any way, shape, or form, according to Chris's reading of the doc. He reminded listeners that every CRM, including mine, is training AI models on aggregated data. It isn't a big deal. Zillow already has this access. Stop panicking and do the Tom Tool. Get on the phone. I agree. I mean, agents should definitely get on the phone, but you can also say, I want a pure data set that's not integrated with a gigantic competitor sending people elsewhere. Can we not say both? Let's see. Thinking your clients belong to you forever is ludicrous. If you have a client where you're providing value, if you have a client when you're providing value, the second you stop doing that, they're gone. That's what I guess Chris said, or Byron.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you like write out your playbook and hand it over to somebody.
Yeah. You know what I see? And this is also addressed in the article too. Everyone on the call here is using Zillow, or getting leads by Zillow or Zillow Flex Partners. So I know they're trying to be impartial, but they're also not going to bite the hand that feeds them. I'm not paid by Zillow. I don't get leads from Zillow. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you that they were not worth anything here. And I think it's a bad deal here locally. Maybe it works in your market, but I used to give them $1 and they give me $3. That was a great deal. Then I started giving them $1 and they give me 0.8 or 0.7. And that's not a good deal. 70 cents on the dollar is not a great ROI. That's a negative ROI. Just so you know. So yeah, I'm not pro Zillow because I don't use Zillow. I don't get paid by Zillow. I'm not a Zillow Flex partner. All right. So that being said, what I did was I took the 3 Zillow agreements, the Zillow terms of service, follow-up boss terms of service, and the privacy agreement, and I put them in my ChatGPT, and I asked it a lot of questions. One of the questions was, do the terms of service and updated information look like they are appending their data with the use of follow-up boss user data? And it gave this long explanation of it that I'm kind of going to skip. It was like positives and negatives and all that stuff. And at the very end, it said this: my verdict is they're appending. Is there appending happening, and should you be concerned? Yes, some appending. So what I mean by appending, whenever you as a real estate agent have a data set, you can append the data set to get better data. So you could pay somebody a certain amount per piece of data. And when you do that, they will either fill in phone numbers or fill in addresses or fill in email addresses, or they will append the data so that it's more full, robust, and you have something better to market towards. What I see is that Zillow is trying to match up their current user list with the follow-up boss database and append their data. They're going to take the data from the real estate agents who've been curating this. And if you're a ninja, if you're one of the real estate ninja, what's it called? It's not called Ninja. Is it just called Ninja? Oh man. And I don't know why I can't think of it now. Anyway, I'm a ninja. I went to the ninja installation. If you're a ninja, then this is like a nightmare because your database is one of the most prized possessions that you have. And you've been putting so much information in that database so that you can remember what's happening and who's what and the birthdays and anniversaries and where they live now and other properties they own and their connection with other people. I mean, you've been putting all this data in there in order to help you better continue to keep them as clients. As a matter of fact, kind of goes in the face of this, but Sharon Srivatsa says never call them past clients. They're just clients. And Tom Ferry talks about managing a certain amount of volume, right? So if you've closed $100 million in real estate, then you manage a $100 million asset portfolio. And those clients, oh man, Matt, those clients are still your people. So, but yes, it's only if you're actually working with them. That's the only, if you're not working with those people, if you're not maintaining contact or doing anything with them, yes, I mean, obviously they're going to go somewhere else. But that's obvious. That's not an excuse for Zillow to get access to all of it. So what I see is that Zillow is matching their data with your data, and they're going to pull in your additional information to make their data better so that they can market to them. Now, why would Zillow want to market to them? Because they're already in your database. So obviously Zillow is going to say, well, they're already in Ray's database. So, we're not going to really pull them away from Ray. No, they're definitely going to pull them away from me. And the reason they'll pull them away from me is because I'm not a flex partner. I don't buy leads on Zillow. And so they are going to market to those leads and then sell them to a flex partner. And even if I do a wonderful job of maintaining the relationship with a client, it's still going to add unnecessary competition. So this is what ChatGPT said. Controlling or appending with permission. If you integrate with Zillow, lead sources two ways, and then your agent's data about Zillow sources, their browsing, search history, etc., it literally flows between systems. That means Zillow can see their search behavior and data of those leads. That's an appending of additional data on your contacts. Aggregated analytics appending. If your identifiable data is not used, FBU claims they can use derived data that doesn't identify individuals to improve services. That means that your data usage, your leads performance, message response times, etc., could feed into the larger models. Let's see, that is less about your individual clients, more about the right or wrong behaviors or patterns across users. The risk of future user change. The representation of, quote, unless you give permission is good, but you rely on them honoring that no future TOS changes expand those rights, and the risk of, quote, permission of how it's defined or how, quote, derived data is defined. Your specific context matters. You run a real estate team with multiple divisions. You're dealing possibly with sensitive information. If any Zillow integrations allows behavioral data merging, you need to consider how that may affect your competitive positioning and client confidentiality. For example, your investor list is valuable. If behaviors tied to that get aggregated into a Zillow product, your unique edge could be diluted. But it's not catastrophic. The terms do not say Zillow gets unrestricted access of your CRM contact list and can directly market to your clients, Zillow's broader network, without your consent. So what is your consent? Continuing to use it with the TOS? That is, quote, material protection. Follow Up Boss maintains the agent data stays in FUB unless you integrate into certain ways. So you're not handing over your full client list by default. So it says what I'd recommend you do, and I'm just going to summarize this part because it's pretty long, but it basically said export all your data from Follow Up Boss and start to shop for other CRMs. That is the summary. It said export your data regularly, segment out sensitive data. Basically now you make your own data set, your own Follow Up Boss less valuable to you by removing important data that you don't want Zillow to have access to. It said monitor TOS changes. So if you're with Follow Up Boss right now, you need to watch that like a hawk. Any change, you can't rely on somebody else noticing. You got to watch it. Legal compliance. Because you work with certain clients, and it pointed out the specific clients that I have that would be sensitive to these issues, ensure any data sharing behavior tracking meets the specific statutes for that sensitive client and personnel list. Let's see. And its final take, the final take was you should shop. Start to migrate slowly to a new system. Christina Smallhorn joins us. What's up? She said, go high level has the best CRM, just saying. I personally use Lofty. I don't get paid by them to say it, but I enjoy it. I think it's good. Courtney, what's up, Courtney? Living in Columbia, South Carolina. She joined the show. She said, sort of like Zillow and ChatGPT and their terms of services agreement. Very vague. Yes, it is vague so far. Olivier says, Zillow trying to tell you they invented a better system by taking your information. Check out this really cool system we created with all of your data that we didn't pay you for. Jessica Coates is here. What's up, Jess? Yeah, that is an interesting, traditionally, whenever somebody appends the data, you compensate the person that's giving you the additional data. And this is without compensation. There is no compensation for the data that they're taking from you. But I'm curious what you guys think. I'm curious where you stand. So add your voice to the comments. Let me know if you guys are over in Follow Up Boss and want to shout out on this. Go ahead. I'll wait for a second. I got to take a sip. Courtney said she's looked into Go High Level too. Christina, are you using it? Nothing. No one wants to shout out Zillow on this. All right. Honey, I want to use your Flex partnership. Justin, I saw you blink your mic. What's up, man?
What's up, buddy? I didn't want to jump in because I know you're streaming on channels, Shadow Arkansas. High level, everything you're saying is bang on, right? I think making sure you're very well aware of where you're putting your information, how it's being used, and the privacy concerns are probably at the highest order on my list in terms of compliance of what information we're putting into our CRM. We did just, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. That was an ad that popped up. Sorry.
Okay. We did just do a huge upgrade to our follow-up bot system, and Zillow is not as prevalent in Canada as it is in the States. So I'm actually not too concerned about the overlap or the appending, but I do think long-term, like 1, 3, 5 years, I'm very much going to move my information to a closed circuit platform or build my own. I also think the world's changing very quickly, and with AI companies and technology, people are going to have a lot more options in the future. So I think this really makes things a lot more transparent for the users of the platform and should hurt them in the long run, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that take. I think it's not something that you should panic immediately. I mean, what Broke Agent Media got right when they were saying like agents are losing their minds. Yeah, you shouldn't lose your mind, but also you should be careful because they're getting closer and closer and closer to just, taking all your stuff. And it was bound to happen. They bought Follow Up Boss in 2023. And it was what I said then. It's like, hey, you might want to start moving your stuff because they're saying right now they don't have access to any of your data, but that's going to change. Well, this is the first level of that change. And the number of people that I've heard say, well, they have your data anyway. Well, if they have it anyway, then they can lock themselves out. If they have it anyway, then what's the point of even trying to get it? They know better. So that part, I think it's a bad take. It's just a bad take. And to say they're so big that they would get it if they didn't have, why do they need it? If they have the data, why do they need it? Now, if they said like, hey, every Follow Up Boss user, we're going to give you $5 per contact and we're going to update our data system with your data system, kind of merge it. Well, that's an option, $5 a contact. That's a pretty good deal. If you have 20,000 contacts, Zillow could give you $100K to update their information. All right. Yeah. Let's update it. Let's append your data. But to do it just because you bought the company and now you're changing the terms of service and now you expect everybody to be like, oh, it's totally okay. That's disingenuous. And I think you can.
So if I shut off I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jack.
If I shut off my account today, the damage has been done. They already have the goods, right?
It goes in November 15th.
Okay.
So you do have time to run away.
It's such a bummer. I just like finished my Follow Up Boss integration, and then the Zillow news came out. It's no, don't worry about it. And now the inevitable happened.
Well, they give you several options, Jack. You could just make all of your data less valuable by putting less information in the system that you don't want Zillow to have. I can't believe that that's one of the legit like ways that they're saying to do this. It's just like anyone that actually uses a database for this stuff listens to that as an option and says, that's so stupid. I mean, that's what use is it if you just have, you know, a phone book? It's it's ridiculous. Gotta watch what I say. Courtney said Columbia MLS, which is not affiliated with the board, is going through a process of changing from Showing Time to Century Lock, trying to get away from Zillow. We added Broker Bay, and I really like it. Broker Bay is also another good system. I think more competition in the market is great. Broker Bay allows you to open the super lock boxes inside the Broker Bay app, which is kind of cool too. So we've been using it and like it. Move me to Bay Area, said OMG. What's up? What OMG? All right. There's more news. Zillow also made a move. This is kind of crazy to me because Zillow move me to Bay Area says nice. All right. Hey. Zillow is prosumer, right? I mean, they are the place for consumers to get additional information, and they are the place to go if, you know, a consumer wants the latest data on a house. They're for you, and they're for the open sharing of all properties that someone could have access to, unless you're Compass, right? Because they are saying they're not going to do Compass listings that are also shared on the private network, or unless you've marketed the property somewhere else, that one's going to be missing. But other than that, and if you want to give someone a 360 tour of a property you have, you just upload it. It's no problem. They're totally open to using whatever until now. Zillow removes Matterport 3D home tours from its sites. I wonder, why would they do something like that? Because my understanding was Zillow was for the consumers to have additional information, but here they're restricting data. Interesting. The portal wars intensify Monday when Zillow announced that it was pulling Matterport 3D tours from its Zillow and StreetEasy sites. Inman first learned about the move after obtaining an email from StreetEasy that went to its partners on Monday morning. The email stated that CoStar decided not to renew its Matterport application programming interface, API. That is interesting to me. The email stated that CoStar decided not to renew its Matterport application, its API agreement. Due to this decision, StreetEasy and Zillow have removed Matterport 3D tours. You're receiving this email because you have one or more listings that have been impacted. We understand how frustrating this is for you. So the question is, why did CoStar not apply for the new API? The portal said it removed all Matterport 3D tours from the site and reminded users about other third-party virtual tour integrations such as Zillow 3D Home, Peak, Skyward 360, iSpy 360, 3D app. So there's a bunch.
My MLS sent out a notice that even floor plans that were generated by Matterport need to be removed.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Do you have a different way to upload floor plans besides an image?
No, not well. We could put it in like attachments, but you want the consumer to see it, so I always put it as a photo.
I mean, who's going to remove a floor plan that's created off?
Maybe you could block out or
just
edit out the Matterport name on there.
Crop that.
But then you'd be violating probably some agreement with them. So
I don't know. That's interesting. CoStar consumers are allowed to use CoStar Media, excluding videos and virtual tours on their own website, social media accounts, and printed mailers. However, they cannot use or display CoStar Media of any kind on third-party platforms, websites, or listing services that compete with CoStar, such as StreetEasy or Zillow. All right. The CoStar's ongoing efforts to wall off data and restrict how real estate professionals use the content they pay for is harmful to everyone in the industry, Zillow spokesperson said. Zillow empowers professionals to use a number of 3D media solutions on our platform. Inman reached out to CoStar and said, neither matter. Let's see. Said, oh, wait. I've got a whole nother article on that. I'm going to get to that response in just a second. This is on Broke Agent Media. why Zillow is pulling Matterport tours from its platform. It says why the tours were removed. The change stems from CoStar's group decision not to renew Matterport's API agreement with Zillow. The email said, due to this, oh, we've already read that email. CoStar updated its terms of service to restrict media usage. And this is what CoStar said about it. CoStar calls out Zillow's falsehoods in Matterport dispute. So Zillow is saying, we're removing this because CoStar did not update its API. CoStar says, nah, that ain't right. Yesterday, Zillow announced that they're pulling the Matterport 3D home tours. In the wake of Zillow's announcement, CoStar leadership sent a letter to Matterport customers to make sure one thing was clear. Matterport users can still share their spaces anywhere. For agents, the back and forth between the two real estate agents' biggest portals and how 3D tours appear on listings across multiple platforms is frustrating. CoStar's response. Let's see. CoStar's letter clarified that only the 3D media created for its own platforms is proprietary. Any Matterport spaces created by agents remain their property and can still be shared anywhere. So, Mike, you should send that to your MLS. CoStar.
Where is that found? Where did you find that?
It's on Broke Agent Media. It says it's CoStar's message that went out to all Matterport users. So you might have it in your email too.
Okay.
It says CoStar's letter clarified that only the 3D media created for its own platforms are proprietary. Any Matterport spaces created by agents remain their property. It can still be shared anywhere. That's what I was going to say. That's kind of our property, but I wasn't sure about the TOS. As to Zillow's decision to pull Matterport tours from its platform, it's unclear now whether they meant videos created by CoStar Group or videos created by real estate agents for their clients. This is it. It's got the full email. Neither Matterport's nor CoStar Group's media licensing terms have changed. If Zillow is removing Matterport spaces from its website, that is the decision Zillow made unilaterally to the detriment of their customers. We recommend reaching out to Zillow directly. Then why did they not update the API? Why didn't they? And why did they have to renew an API? That's not answered anywhere in this. Winterson Zillow's made a reference to a terminated API agreement between Matterport and Zillow. That's a complete red herring and unrelated to Matterport's customers' ability to share spaces. Zillow knows this, but chose to spread this falsehood anyway. The truth is that Zillow is desperately trying to divert attention from the slew of lawsuits it's now facing brought by a brokerage, consumers, the FTC, States Attorneys General, and CoStar Group. Zillow is now playing games to stir up their customer confusion, distract from mounting legal troubles. That is interesting. Why do they say it's a red herring? It's unrelated. It must be how the API is actually used that makes it the red herring. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
It's a red rocket.
It's a red rocket, man.
But we wouldn't have anything to talk about today if, and
true.
This goes back to our text thread, if we took control of our data as an industry and had our own Realtor.com, had, control over what we wanted to share, and the people that are on the ground going out and getting the product actually get credit for it, and the people taking the pictures for our product get credit for it. And I mean, it seems like the cart's before the horse here.
Yeah, you're right.
And who's going to do it? I mean, somebody step up.
It's got to be NAR. It's the only one that can. The only one that can do it is the National Association of Realtors, because they have so many people already on board.
Well, they're too busy working on the dashboard, Ray.
Well, yeah, and they want transparency of budgeting. I think that's probably more important to them.
Budgeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scap.
Damn, now I'm getting angry talking about it, of something that we've waxed upon for so many years.
Yeah. I mean, if they would have, so our show is 8 years old, And it's something we've been talking about since we got started. It's, I mean, literally every year I'm like, this is the year that NAR does the national MLS. And every year I'm wrong. What's it worth appraisals? Scap says, I feel for you agents. It's almost like Zillow said, quote, our algorithm sucks. Appraisers are better at it. So let's leave them alone and take everything away from agents. Yeah, I mean, that Zestimate, it's kind of gone by the wayside. Everybody knows it's crap. We were meeting with the seller yesterday and they're like, well, this is what I think my home is worth, but I know the Zestimate says this, but I also know that's all wrong all the time. Yeah. Okay. Now consumers know. All right. Well, let's keep going here. I feel like, okay. For a second there, I was glitching. I'm back. I'm back, baby. Realtor.com CMO. Oh, wait, hang on. Yeah. Realtor.com CMO says the future of search is conversational. A conversational search. Realtor.com's new natural language home search feature aims to help consumers find exactly what they want using everyday phrases and questions. The feature currently supports more than 300 terms. However, 300 terms. I've said more than 300 terms so far on this show. However, Realtor.com Chief Marketing Officer Mickey Nurberger said that the goal is to support an infinite number of phrases so consumers can easily spot the listing of their dreams no matter how specific the language their needs are. You know what this is going to make really important? Your realtor remarks. And being so over the top with your thesaurus. Unless they're like, well, this person wants an open living area. So just because you said that the dining room and living room are open to each other, that's enough. Or this person wants a really well-lit home in their natural language model. And you said in your remarks that there's lots of windows of this house. And look at these photos. We can interpret from these photos that it's well lit. That kind of thing would be super cool and helpful, but I don't know how far it's going to go. The feature is more conversational, allows for a higher degree of personalization, which really helps the consumer. I'm curious. How many words are allowed on your MLS? Because a couple of years ago, ours was like 500 and they expanded it a year or two ago to 1,200. And so we're using all 1,200 word or characters, not words. We're using all 1,200 characters for every single one of our public remarks, because I mean, the future is search engine optimization of your public remarks. Yes, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, all important, but people are going to be using natural language models, and you need natural language in your public remarks. See, Courtney said ours recently changed from 1,500 to 3,000. Yeah. Chuck Full. Caroline Hobbs. What's up, Caroline? She said ours is either 500 or 700. That seems low. 700 words or characters? 700 words would be super long. It's probably characters. Let's see. The average agent does only about 300. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we see that. Olivier
we
said
did 1,000, but I think 3,000 is a little verbose, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, the South Carolinians, though, they use a lot of words.
Y'all.
Yeah, Olivier said 650 characters plus 3,000 characters for an addendum. Oh, interesting. Okay. So all the third-party websites take the public remarks and stick them there, but you can also do like agent remarks or showing remarks, and those are not shared. Most people barely read the remarks if the pictures are not good. Yeah, people are definitely going to be visual first. That's not going to change. However, I think you can use your remarks now to be super smart about how people are searching for you on the web. Courtney said they have automatic disclosures added to the remarks section, so the increase has caused them to increase the character count. Oh, man. Okay, that makes sense. So you have 3,000, but part of that 3,000 are auto disclosures to keep everyone's fanny out of the fire. All right. That's not going to be great on search. Realtor.com says, we are the real estate platform most trusted by professionals, and we stand for authority, trust, and professionalism. And AI is part of making our platform easier to use so users can access the best listing content and data insights. Well, we'll see. I think they introduced the natural language model a long time ago, actually. If I recall, we were talking about their natural language model and what they were trying to do last year. So I think it's probably, maybe this is the update. It's come a long way in the face of the advances that Zillow made. Maybe that's it. Not to be outdone, EXP announced its AI ecosystem. So Mira, Mira, is an AI assistant. It's accessible by voice or text in English, French, or Spanish. Mira integrates directly with EXP's proprietary data systems. Agents can check their cap status, monitor rev share progress, and view upcoming payouts instantly with no separate logins, spreadsheets required. So it is similar to the Real Broker, but I don't think we have voice yet. So the voice is a cool feature. He displayed some of that. I think you guys will be able to hear this. I'm gonna press play on it, and you tell me.
In real estate, every second counts.
Okay, I'm gonna fast forward to the actual demonstration. Hang on. Well, can I fast forward? No, I can't fast forward. No.
You've got the drive, but your tools slow you down.
I wanted to show what it was like. Let's scroll down. No, that's it. Hang on. Bear with me, though. I'm just going to show you just a second.
Meet Mira, your AI-powered business assistant built exclusively for EXP agents backed by ChatGPT and OpenAI.
Hey Mira, how many homes have I sold this year?
Let me check on that for you. You've sold 22 homes this year, 12 on the buyer side and 10 on the seller side.
Who are the top 3 agents in my organization?
The top 3 agents by volume are Jessica Chen with 15.2 million, Mark Davis with 12.8 million, and Sarah Lee with 10.5 million.
There you go. So that's Mira. It's a cool idea. It's more integrated with the rev share aspect than I think Real Brokers currently is. But yeah, I think all brokerages, all major brokerages are going to have some kind of AI component like this in the next year or so. I think everybody's going to have it. So, anything, let's see. Yeah, everything else was just kind of the same stuff, to be frank. There's not a lot of gigantic announcements coming out with brokerages except for Compass Buying Anywhere. That was probably the biggest. Other than that, it's all kind of normal development stuff. Homes.com is hit with a lawsuit. Homes.com is hit with a lawsuit over monetization of CRMLS data. Homes.com will lose access to CRMLS data feed on November 1st. What I think about CRMLS is a lot of people get our MLS and the CRMLS confused because ours is Carmel's and theirs is CRMLS. So ours is CARMLS. So there's a lot of confusion there. Leading provider for multiple listing service data feeds announced on Tuesday that it had sued Homes.com parent CoStar and would soon cut off the portal's access to listings for one of the nation's largest MLS. Recourse Solutions provided an MLS data licensing service for the California Regional Multiple Listing Service said that it was taking legal action against Homes.com and CoStar for what they described as a breach of contract. Entities like real estate portals that monetize MLS data but don't represent buyers and sellers are required to pay for the data. Agents and brokers working with clients do not. Okay. So does Zillow pay for the data because they're a broker, or do they just get access because they're a broker? Specifically, the lawsuit references Homes.com revenue generating efforts to have members and home sellers pay to boost their listings through the platform. According to Recor, Homes.com had agreed to pay approximately $2 per listing displayed on the portal in exchange for the access to the feed it provides the listings. Recor.com said that Homes.com failed to pay the full amount they agreed to. That seems crazy. After more than a year of Recor's efforts to negotiate a resolution, the company was left with no choice but to protect the MLS data and listing brokers who supplied it by filing a lawsuit. That's crazy. Any listing broker that wishes to have their CRMLS listing record sent to Homes.com may contact Recor to establish a participant data return feed. This service provided will be at no cost and without restrictions on Homes.com monetization of that data. So if you as an agent if you as an agent want this, you got to ask for it per listing? Or is it just, I want it for everything? Huh. All right. Well, heads up, guys. If you're in California and you want your listing to be on homes.com, make that known, make that change so that you guys can get that. That's why we bring you the news. Realtor.com is also being sued by the Swifties. Not really. A Kansas City photographer who built a portfolio of pictures depicting the estate where Travis Kelce proposed to Taylor Swift is suing Realtor.com parent Move Inc. for using their copyrighted photos without their permission. Kansas City chief star Kelce proposed to Swift in a garden. I almost said Swifty. In a garden at his estate in August. Let's see. In an attempt to capitalize on the hype around the engagement, Realtor.com published impossible to find photos inside Kelce's home. Photographer Bryn Burns wrote in a lawsuit filed Monday. Defendants knew these photographs belonged to the plaintiff. Defendants used and published these photographs without the plaintiff's permission to drive millions of people to their website. Let's see. And would rather beg for forgiveness than to have sought the plaintiff's permission. News Corp and Move Inc. News Corp, which owns Realtor.com parent Move Inc. and the National Association of Realtors is named in the suit. Why is NAR in the suit? An attorney for Burns told Inman that the lawsuit targets NAR because it appears that the two defendants jointly operate and control Realtor.com. Wait, hang on. Teresa Binney says, who wants to be on homes.com? I know, right? Hang on just a second. Think about this. Could the lawsuit of Swift and Travis Kelce be reason that Realtor.com breaches the contract with NAR and misuses the website and allows us to get Realtor.com back? Misuses the licensing agreement? An NAR spokesperson said the organization isn't involved with editorial decisions made by Realtor.com. Yes, but do you have any guidelines on what they can and can't say using Realtor.com? Are there none? Plaintiff is unable to sell or license the work in Jackson County, Missouri, because the defendants have made work available to the world for free via their privacy of their work. So, all right. Oh, interesting. She took the photos in September of 2022 before they began dating. Huh. Okay. Y'all can read more about that on Inman. It's just interesting. They affect everything. Okay, y'all ready to talk about the oh wait, hang on. We get a victory. NAR's latest legal victory. Supreme Court declines to hear the case, reopen on optional no commingling rule. So this was the case from Rex. If you guys recall, Rex built their business on the backs of Zillow and then sued Zillow when Zillow put Rex in a different tab because they were homes that were for sale by owner. Then Zillow changed their ways and now includes for sale by owner homes among all the other properties as well. Interesting. But in the meantime, Rex tried to reopen the lawsuit and the Supreme Court said, nah. The brokerage real estate exchange Rex sued NAR and Zillow in March of 2021, alleging that NAR's optional no commingling rule, sometimes called commingling rule, no commingling, violated the antitrust laws. The optional rule was repealed in June and allowed MLSs to require listings from non-MLS sources to be displayed separately from MLS listings. So we win it. It's not going to be reopened. Yay. And then a little more news. on crypto. I think I have to be careful how I say some of this stuff because YouTube and all the protectionists against scams and such. So pardon, but Propy launches 100 million M&A expansion to bring real estate closings on chain. So basically what they're trying to do is somehow tie real estate to the blockchain in an effort to create a traceable, uneditable, unchangeable chain of title that can easily be traced in just like 1 second. So instead of the title companies having to do a full title search and all this other stuff, you could just easily have the house on blockchain. Nobody else has it. I got it. That's it. That's my rephrased version of this. So, despite massive advancements in prop tech, title and escrow remain stubbornly analog. That's what they were saying with real estate too, real estate agents. The space is fragmented across 7,000 firms, and recent NAR found that 63% of realtors reported title fraud in their market. Yep, we have that here. Closing a home is still a paper chase, while Gen Z and millennials expect digital on-demand services. Avery and our acquisition strategy give us a path to scale nationwide, transforming closings into faster AI-driven experience for modern buyers. I think that could be great. Agent Avery automates up to 70% of escrow officers' work, handling contracts, compliance, and communication, both across traditional and crypto payments. Trained on thousands of transactions, Avery is fluent in RESPA regulations and real estate law. So this is their propy.com/Avery to find the Agent Avery.
Bring it on, right?
Say again.
Bring it on.
Oh, bring it on. I thought you said free and on. I'm like, wait, what?
No. What? Talk about getting flagged by YouTube.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? I mean, I don't see any problem with that. If anything, it's consumer protection.
Yeah. I like it. I like the move. It's, if they can implement it in a way that consumers can easily understand, that's going to be the next move. If a consumer can't easily understand what's happening, they're not going to trust it. So even if it works well, if a consumer doesn't understand how it's working, it's not going to be useful. So they have to understand how. And that's a communication issue that I think will have to be addressed eventually. All right, let's talk econ. Foreclosures are on the rise. Foreclosures are on the rise. That's to be expected because all the moratoriums and everything is gone. So the short answer is that while today's market looks nothing like the housing crash of 2008, signs of stress are real. There doesn't seem to be fraud in the mortgage market, but foreclosures are still running below pre-pandy levels. So while foreclosures are up, they're still below the pandy. Two profitable paths for agents: pre-foreclosures or short sales. Short sales are still very difficult, or foreclosure REO listings. So if you missed 2007 and 8, do some trainings in the area of how to close a foreclosure and how to close pre-foreclosures. I'm excited that foreclosures are coming back, not because there's people in trouble and stressed. I understand all that. But we had a lot of people that were looking to purchase foreclosed properties in 2013 through 19 until the moratorium on foreclosures was put into place during the pandy. And, we were able to get our clients some really good deals through foreclosures, and those just haven't come back. So I feel like a more balanced market has that in the market and can also prevent huge run-ups in home prices. Without that, then I think you're going to see more home prices increase over time. Sellers are getting ghosted though. 15% of home buying contracts were canceled in September. That seems to be a lot. Just over 53,000 home purchase agreements nationwide were canceled in September. That's equal to 15% of the homes that went under contract. it is high. It's not the highest. So the highest cancellation was in what looks to be March of 2020, maybe April of 2020. And the lowest cancellation recently was in 2021. There were only 10%. So the highest was at 16%. The lowest is at 10%. We are currently at 15%, just 1% off the most recent high, which was still 16%. So in 2022, it got to 16%. In 2023, it got to 16%. In what month was that? September? No, in September of 2023, it was 15, and then it went up to 16. So we might have a little more up left. In 2024, September, it got to 13.6%. So, but then it went up to 15% towards the end of the year. So it is up and down, up and down, up and down. There appears to be some seasonality with that, but some states more than others. Tampa, Florida had the highest at 20.1%. So San Antonio was right behind them at 19. Atlanta was at 19. All right, but builders are there. They're cutting prices. This is one of the reasons I have two articles coming up that you guys need to green screen. This is another one you could put out there right now. More than 1/3 of builders continue to cut prices. This article can be found at ner.realtor. That's the Realtor magazine /magazine. Home builders are rolling back prices to bring more buyers to the closing table this fall. 38% of builders reported cutting prices in October, with an average price reduction of about 6%, according to the latest National Association of Home Builders Wells Fargo Market Index. Yeah. What's more, 65% of builders say they turned to additional incentives this month. So they're giving additional incentives, 65% of them, 35% of them are dropping the price. So there are some adjustments being made in new home building. I tried to, one of my clients was like, I don't understand why all these builders are lowering their prices. I said, because that's their job. Their job is to build and sell houses. And if they build a house and don't sell it, they're losing money. So it's better for them to cut and to sell and then to make it up on future build than it is for them to hold the property, because then they can't build. A lot of them, can't take the extra loan because they already have loans out. They got to sell those before they can build another house. But their job is literally to build the house. And if you're stuck, you can't build a house, that means you don't have a job. Home buyers, this is another one. You got to green screen this and put it out there. Home buyers are scoring the biggest autumn discount since 2019. The typical home sold last month went for 1.4% less than its final list price. It's the biggest September discount in 6 years. It's hard to believe that 1.4% under list price is the biggest discount in 6 years, but it is. Three metrics that measure, let's see, share of homes selling above list price is 25.3%. Let's see, average sale to list price ratio came in at 98.6%. That's down from 99.1% a year earlier. The share of homes selling in 2 weeks, 32%, 32.8% of homes that went under contract did so within 2 weeks of being listed. A fourth metric, let's see. Here's the chart. Home prices tick up as supply ticks down. That's interesting. I mean, that's kind of supply and demand, isn't it? Isn't it?
It all goes back. It makes me think of the soft market crash that we talked about.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, last week. Last year.
Yeah.
All these subtle changes.
Austin, Texas. It's America's strongest buyer's market with over twice as many home sellers as buyers. What? Percent by which sellers outnumber buyers, 130% in Austin. Fort Lauderdale, 118%. West Palm Beach, 113%. Miami, 112%. And then Nashville, 109%. San Antonio, 108%. Dallas, 100%. So if you're in, even let's see, Jacksonville, Florida has 96%. Las Vegas has 89%. Houston, 83%. The national average is 36.7%. So but that's, if you're in one of these markets, especially, screenshot this, green screen it, put it out there, let people know. It is a wonderful time to buy in those markets. And this is, I thought was interesting too. I just had this conversation. Instagram has disconnected the stream. Okay. Sorry, Instagram. For whatever reason. Yeah, I don't know why I quit up there. 29% of U.S. home purchases are made in cash. It's essentially flat from a year ago. Just had a client ask me the other day if cash purchases have gone up. And I was like, I feel like they've stayed the same. Ha, look at that. October 17th, this article came out and said they're the same. Essentially flat. So not much movement in cash purchases. U.S. home prices rose, though. Are you sitting down for this number? Huge increase in September. U.S. home prices rose 0.2% in September. Gigantic increase, I know. On a year-over-year basis, prices went up 3%, making it the slowest annual increase going back to 2012. That's down from 3.3% in August and well below the 5 to 6% growth recently seen. Yeah, 3% seems to be kind of like an average low home price growth over time. I always tell people in our market, just kind of earmark around 3% or so per year. And if you get 4 or 6, that means you're in a better location. It's around there. So what's that mean? Refinance demand was high, 81% higher than it was a year ago. Thanks for the falling mortgage rates. Applications to refinance a home loan, which are most sensitive to weekly changes in interest rates, rose 4% for the week and were 81% higher than the same week a year ago. Isn't that interesting? I feel like every year the market is getting later and later, and I don't know fully what's causing this. I thought it was the pandy. I thought during all that jazz, I kind of knew, like, well, obviously March of 2020 kind of messed everyone up because people were thinking about moving. They didn't move. But y'all remember we used to have these wild blast off of the market in March, and it didn't, obviously. And then April was okay. May was okay, but it didn't like recover huge until later in the year. And ever since then, I feel like everyone's patterns have changed. They've shifted. They've become later in the year, and they're getting later and later and later, to where last year I felt like November, October was kind of starting to settle down, but I thought, man, this is a really wild September, late September. Normally it's not this busy. Now I feel like October is shot up. I'm like, what's going on? This is not normally this busy. And now we're seeing a huge increase in the mortgage applications. And the rate is not drastically different from what it was last year. It's somewhat different, but it's not crazy. So maybe people's buying habits are changing slightly. So maybe that's what we're looking at. All right, guys, guess what? That's all I got for the week. That's right. Thanks everybody for joining us, and thanks for jumping on YouTube and giving me some comments there. Thank you to all the folks that were watching on all the streaming services, except those of you on Instagram that I can't think right now because for whatever reason, StreamYard decided to not stream there anymore. But everyone else, thank you, especially Clubhouse. Thanks to you guys for jumping up here, adding your voice to the pod. And let's see, next week is October 28th, 9th. I'll be here. But the week after that, I will be in Orlando, Florida for the RISE conference. So if any of you are going to the RISE conference, that's Real Brokers Annual Conference, please let me know. I'd love to meet you in person there. And if you listen to the podcast, can you tell me? Because sometimes that puts wind beneath my wings. Thank you guys for joining us, and I'll see y'all next week.